Welcome and thank you for purchasing the Financial Empowerment Workbook. You have taken the first step to get your finances in order. So in this series, we're going to cover a number of topics, starting with discovering your financial behaviors, then moving towards where do you stand today financially. Then we'll talk about your expenses, how they should be allocated, and determining your net worth, setting up a customized spending plan, developing some smart financial goals, and then concluding with some tools that are going to help you stay on track. So that you're not overwhelmed, what we're going to do is each segment that I mentioned, we are going to do that on the daily basis. So each one of those segments will be assigned a day. And so day one will be discovering your financial behaviors. And then we'll move on to day two of discussing your where you are, where you stand financially, and so on and so forth. Okay? So to begin with, we're going to start today with day one with discovering your financial behaviors. So in your workbook, if you turn to page 2 of your workbook, there's an assessment there. There are 19 statements that you need to answer. And when you answer the questions, you want to answer them not in what you intend to do, but where you are today in terms of your behavior. That is the only way that we're going to get a true measure of your behavior. You have to be honest and not use an intended response, but use your actual response, okay? And so go ahead, take the time to complete the assessment and determine what category you fall into, and then I'll come back and explain to you in detail what each of those categories mean so that you can understand where you fit in, and then how we're going to use that to help you succeed financially. All right, welcome back. So you got the opportunity to complete the financial behavior assessment, and you now know what your financial behavior is. And so let's take a moment and we're going to go over and define your financial behavior so you can be even more clear on where you stand from a financial behavior standpoint. So if your spending behavior, if you got a high score in spender, let me tell you some characteristics of a spender. Spenders buy what they want, when they want, and they feel they have the money to do so. They generally spend first and then check their bank balance later. Does that sound like you? Spenders can easily be convinced to spend money on wants. They don't make a differentiation between wants and needs. They get what they want when they want. Okay. Salespeople love spenders. It's easy for them to talk you into upgrades. Okay. Spenders like to have the latest in everything: clothes, cars, devices. They may have things that they have purchased that they've never used. They bought it because it was on sale. It's sitting in their closet and it's never been used. Now, one thing that I want to premise as we go into these behaviors is that it's not to say that any behavior is bad or good, because each behavior has its advantages and each behavior has its disadvantages, okay? And so some of the advantages of being a spender is that you're not afraid to take risk. You're quick to make decisions. You're not mulling over. It's very easy for you to make a decision on something. So you respond to opportunities very quickly. And people enjoy hanging around you. You're always the life of the party. You're always open to treating people to things because you're a spender. Okay, spenders actually make great business owners because they do know how to take advantage of opportunities. And oftentimes when they are setting up their businesses, they put everything in order. They have no problem spending on the nice office and all of the equipment that should go into the office, and making decisions there. But still they need to temper that and make sure that they have the business coming in to match the level of spending that they are doing. Okay, now some of the disadvantages of being a spender include buying things that you can't afford, okay, and getting yourself into debt, and not paying attention to where your finances are going. Okay, you don't have a plan for your money. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you in this series how you can use your behavior to your advantage, and we're going to teach you how to minimize the disadvantages of your spending behavior. Okay, so moving on to the next category, which is strategists. Now, a strategist behavior, they use money to reach their goals, so they know how to leverage their money. Strategists plan their spending, and they will have a budget to help them stay on track. Strategists will research products and services before they will make a purchase, and they place a heavy value on the purchase that they make. Okay, they know the difference between needs and wants, and they plan for financial emergencies. So they would have an emergency fund set up as part of their strategy. Okay. The advantages, of course, of a strategist is they do have an emergency fund set up. They set goals to accomplish what they want financially. They have control over their finances, and they invest to retain value. Okay. Now, a strategist sounds lovely, but there are some disadvantages of being a strategist as well. Okay. Strategists have a problem with taking advantage of opportunities. Okay. They have a tendency to overthink their decisions, and they like to be in control of money, so they will hide money from their loved ones. So if they think that their loved ones are going to, if they're married to like a spender or a generous person, for example, they'll hide money that they may have received so that they can control how that money is used. Okay, which can cause disparity in the relationship. Okay, another disadvantage is that they may feel pressured when expected to spend money on things that are not not part of their spending plan or part of their budget, so to speak. So if they're put in a situation where everyone around them is spending money and they've already planned out what they're going to spend, they may feel pressure that they need to spend money because everyone else is, and that can be stressful for them. But what I would say to that is, don't be afraid to let people know that you are on a budget and that you've exhausted your budget and you can't spend money in this area. So I'm sorry, maybe I can't make it today. It's just not my budget. Or don't be afraid. And you know what I found when I've done that in the past is that some people will volunteer to treat you because it's important to them that you share in the activity that they're doing. But never be embarrassed to admit to people that you are managing your money, because essentially that is what you're doing. You're managing your finances in a responsible manner. Okay, so that is strategist. So the next category is security. Okay, security behavior. Money helps you feel safe and in control. If you feel you can't afford something, you are not going to purchase it. Okay, it's just plain and simple for you. You like to have money where you can access it quickly. You do a good job of tracking your money, and you are a practical purchaser. Okay, you purchase things that cost less instead of buying what you really want. And that can kind of be a disadvantage for a security person, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Some of the advantages of having the security behavior is you do have a budget. You do save money, you do set financial goals, and you are skilled in delayed gratification. That's a wonderful skill to have, because a lot of, if we go back to the spender, everything is right now. I need to have it right now. If you buy a new home, you want to lace it out with brand new furniture. Whereas a person who has the skill of delayed gratification, they may say, okay, I can only do one room a year, so I'm really going to do this room nicely. This is my budget, and this is how I'm going to do this room, and then next year I'll move to the next room. Or they'll have some type of plan in terms of how they're going to furnish their home. Okay, and so that is an excellent skill to have, delayed gratification as a security behavior. Okay. Now, some of the challenges or disadvantages of the security behavior include you will save money over getting the things that you need. Okay, so it's more important to you to save money than to actually fulfill some of the things that you may need to be successful. Okay, you will not take advantage of opportunities if you feel that they threaten your security. Okay, your investment choices tend to be very conservative, therefore slow in growth. Okay, you will sacrifice activities you may enjoy because of the cost. So as you can see, there's a pattern with the security, is that they put their needs last, or even their wants last, and make security their number one priority, which in some cases can make them feel as though they are missing out or not able to do some of the things that maybe their friends or their loved ones are doing, because from their perspective, it is so important that they have that money saved, or that they're not losing any money. And those can be some disadvantages of the security behavior. Okay. Now our next behavior is that of a generous behavior. Generous behavior, you enjoy giving to others. If you received unexpected income, you're going to share it with others. You have difficulty saying no to people. You will buy things you don't need in an effort to support someone. Okay, you go into debt buying things for other people if you think it will make them happy. Okay, you put others' needs before your own. These are common characteristics of a generous person. Okay, so of course, some of the advantages of being generous are you are dependable, you are appreciated by others because of your generosity, you are attentive to other people's needs, and you have non-materialistic or minimalistic tendencies. Okay, so all of those are good characteristics to have, but there are also some disadvantages of being generous. And those are, you have a tendency to be disappointed if you are not appreciated for your generosity. You spend money more than you can afford. Okay, and you generally will not have a budget or a savings plan, and you like giving as a form of control over others. So those are some of the disadvantages that you will see displayed by someone with a generous behavior. Okay. And then our last behavior is a naturalist behavior. Naturalists, money is not a priority to them. You are a minimalist and you go with the flow. You may depend on the generosity of others to get by. You believe that everything will work out in the end. Okay, so those are the characteristics of a naturalist, or another way to say maybe a carefree type of behavior. Okay, advantages of a naturalist are you have no problem taking advantage of opportunities. You have no problem sharing what you have with others. You don't care what other people think about you, and you are very flexible in your tendencies. Okay. Some of the challenges that a naturalist may face would be a lack of planning for the future, because they always believe that things are going to work out in the end. They don't see a priority in planning for their future, which is a very, very dangerous behavior or pattern to get into, that not planning. You're not dependable, and you don't monitor or track your money. And you have a tendency to be dependent on others, or you're always asking others for help. Okay, so with that, now that you understand what behavior category you fall into, I want you to hold on to that information, because I'm going to teach you how to be successful no matter what behavior you fall into. The importance of knowing your behavior is just knowing that when you're in a situation and you're dealing with money, knowing and recognizing the behavior that you are displaying, and then making a qualified decision on how you're going to handle that situation. Are you going to handle that situation from the advantage standpoint of that behavior, or are you going to handle that situation from the disadvantage standpoint? Now, let's say you do select the disadvantage standpoint. You have to be comfortable with that decision, and you can't beat yourself up over it, because at least you made the decision with your eyes open and realizing that you embrace that behavior, even though you may have done it from the disadvantage standpoint. And I want you to reward yourself when you take the higher road and do it from the advantage standpoint of your behavior. Okay? So that is it for today. Now, what I do want you to do, because there are a lot of things that can impact your behavior. So what I'd like for you to do for the rest of this segment is to take the rest of the day, and I want you to reflect on some of the things that may have happened in your life, maybe your childhood, maybe the people that you hang around or the people that you look up to. Those are all things that can have an impact on your financial behavior. So I'd like for you to take some time to reflect some of the things that have happened in your life, and I want you to write it down in your workbook on things that have happened in your life that you think that have molded where you are today as terms of your financial behavior. And tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to take a dive into where you are today financially. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow.